Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to the October 12th bug triage meeting for Operator SDK. Let's go ahead and get started. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, but I can't see my screen because there's this stupid thing in the way. Wish I could just get rid of that. Well, I guess I just have to leave it there. First up, Operator SDK generate customized manifests has some bug.
Right. I took this on and responded. The idea here is this person's customize setup isn't working. It looks like it's the default and they haven't made any changes. I'm not sure what's going on here. It looks like an environmental issue, or they don't have the right version of customize because they're saying that this resources list is invalid when obviously it's not, because all of our end-to-end tests work in KubeBuilder and in the SDKs. So I think that they're using an outdated version of customize. I've asked them to give me their customized version. So this is triaged.
Okay. Should it have some labels?
Yeah, we could probably put I think it's just language go on here. Yeah, it is language go. That should just be language. Yeah, there you go. And just backlog it.
Use multi-stage Docker files for all images. Joe, are you here?
Yep. I just wanted to capture this. I think Eric is working on something similar related to using Go Releaser to do our releases and simplify our release process. But some of the stuff that Eric is looking into makes it seem like we might not actually want to do this, because Go Releaser will build the binaries and then expects to copy them into the Docker file or into the Docker image. So this might be obsolete. Eric, what do you think? Should I reassign this to you and then just have you do whatever you're going to do in terms of the release stuff?
Yeah, assign this to me. I will say that there are problems with copying the release binaries into images themselves that are related to like running the release in CI. So it might, if I can find a way to use multi-stage images within the release, I'm going to do that, and I'd prefer to do that anyway. So I'll be investigating that. I don't think this is obsolete quite yet.
Okay.
Do we just want to put it in the backlog then?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to have this done by 1.2, so let's put it in there.
Okay, anything else on this one? This stupid thing. I just... Oh, okay, well, let's live down there too then. Status descriptor test fails for OLM example with source card, scorecard.
So what's happening here is the way that scorecard tests or makes sure that your operator is following like a set of standards is to run, well, it assumes that the operator is running already, and then runs a bunch of static and dynamic tests against the operator. One of these static tests is, does my custom resource have a status on it? The way it does this is it just looks at within the cluster service version manifest, it has a bunch of examples of your CRs. It inspects those CR examples for a status field. And what this user is saying is that's not what should be done, because the example should only have like a spec in it and the status is modified by the API server. Therefore, why is it in an example? And after some back and forth and talking to the OLM team, it looks like we shouldn't be checking whether that example has the status block. And also you can make the test pass right now, interestingly enough, if you just put like an empty status block in the CR example. So it's not really testing anything anyway. So I mark this as a bug because it doesn't actually work. And we probably should have never done this in the first place. I think it's a pretty easy fix.
Why are we not supposed to check if it has a status?
So we are supposed to check if the CRD has a status or it defines a status for the CR, but we're not supposed to check the static example for like an example CR. And the example is actually not really an example according to the OLM team. It's more of like something used by the OpenShift, well, the OLM managed UI bits in the console for applying the resource eventually. So moral of the story is we're checking the wrong thing.
I think there's some leftover legacy assumption built into this. So the original scorecard worked totally differently, and I think actually did start the operator, create a CR, and then check to see that the operator that was running reconciled the CR and set a status. And that's not what this test does anymore. So Eric, yes, I agree with everything you just said. That all sounds right to me. I think this was probably just kind of left over from something we used to be doing.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the filer of this issue actually told us exactly what lines to remove. So this should be pretty straightforward. I think we can just have these labels on here. We should try and fix this by 1.2. I don't really see why we won't be able to do that, because it does look pretty straightforward, but we'll see if it actually is. This will also need to be backported because it's a bug fix and a pretty important one, in my opinion.
Could you drop a comment to that effect on the issue?
Yeah.
Anything else on this one?
There is already a PR to fix this, so. Yeah.
Oh.
How's it going?
Good. I want to call. I just want to come say hi. What are you doing?
Okay.
I don't know. I ate some cheese. I'm tired.
It sounds like somebody's talking, but you're not loud enough for me to hear you.
John, I think that's you.
Who?
Sean.
Sorry about that. Should have been on
No
mute.
worries.
So wait, were you actually trying to say something, or were you just not?
Nope, not trying to say anything important.
Okay, sorry. So this PR is up. I'm not really certain what the process is for backporting fixes to previous releases.
Basically, just
Typically,
whoever
we'll merge this one, and then we can cherry pick it back via a comment that'll automatically open a new PR in the branch that we asked them to.
Okay, well, cool. I'll try and take a look at this sometime today. Add controller gen and customize to the SDK base image.
Yeah, so this one, we recently added an SDK base image that hasn't actually, I think we're producing a master tag for, but since we haven't had a release since this change came in, there hasn't been any tagged upstream base images with Operator SDK. So this person is basically saying like, hey, I want to use this, but I also would like to have some other binaries that the SDK uses as part of the kind of the default scaffold built in, so that I don't have to either download those myself or have to have an internet connection necessarily to go get those binaries. So this request is, can we basically include these other tools as binaries in the base image?
So maybe I don't quite know what this means. Exactly which image is this?
There's going to be a new Docker image that has basically the SDK binary in it. We've gotten requests probably over the last 6 months. We'll probably get, we've probably gotten 2 or 3, where in the past we've said, what's the use case? Why would we, why do you need an SDK based image? And we've gotten enough of those requests now that clearly there's a need, and clearly people are building their own non-official SDK based images. So we decided we'd just make an official one.
And
So this will be in the operator framework Quay namespace, along with the Helm and Ansible operator based images.
This is an image to act as like a development environment for building operators?
That, or it's not necessarily, I think what I would envision it being used for is in CI scenarios where you maybe want to run operator SDK bundle validate, or maybe run make bundle and get access to some of the more CI related features, or maybe running a scorecard, those kind of things in a CI pipeline.
So more like a CI environment for manipulating an operator.
I think that's probably
They
the
wanted
primary
to
use
use
case, yeah.
There was one request where they wanted to use it as a base image for a development. And this would allow them to do that. They would just basically have to use this as the base, add more stuff on whatever other tools they want after that for their particular dev environment as well. But the goal is more CI related.
Are we going to try and use this in any theoretical CI pipeline we're building on whatever we're going to do to automate our tests in a way that works on GitHub?
I think there's a potential chicken and egg problem with that, which is we need to build, I think in that case, we'd have to build the image and then immediately use it as part of CI, which we do right now, actually do that for the Helm and Ansible operators. So that's a potential thing we could do. We haven't specifically talked about that option yet, though.
Sorry, when you say build an image for the Helm and Ansible operators, you mean we build an image like this? Or are you talking about the image that actually gets pushed that the actual operator runs in?
I'm talking about the base images for the Helm and Ansible operators. So when the operator SDK release process happens, or during CI in general, there's a deploy phase on master and then on tags. When that deploy phase happens, we build base images for Helm and Ansible, and then also the scorecard images that get pushed to Quay. And then when operator SDK user is using SDK to create Ansible or Helm projects, the SDK will scaffold a project that references those base images.
But I'm saying that's a little bit different from what this is requesting.
Yes, this is not, so people will not be using this base image in any sort of production cluster runtime environment. This will be CI. So this person is basically like, I have a project, I want to run operator SDK for my project in CI, and I need an image to be able to do that, and I want to be able to run make generate and make manifests and that kind of stuff. And to do that, I need controller gen and customize.
I think I understand. I'm just saying, would it be possible to dog food this into our own CI pipelines?
So I think that the problem with that is that, well, we could do it, but we would have to rebuild the image at CI time, because otherwise it wouldn't contain the changes that we've just made in a pull.
Right. And that's what I was trying to explain a second ago. Like for our Helm and Ansible EDE tests, we build the Helm and Ansible operator base images, scaffold a new project, substitute the base image from image reference to use the one we just built, build that operator, run it, and make the test so that we're actually testing the changes we made from the Helm and Ansible base image. So yeah, I agree with Austin. We would want to do the same exact thing, which we theoretically could do, right? Like if you look at our EDE tests now, we build the operator SDK binary from the commit, and then we immediately use that built binary to run all the commands that are part of the EDE tests. So I think the only difference would be that rather than using the binary directly, we would be building a Docker image that contained the binary and then running the Docker image. And we would effectively be running the exact same binary. So we're already kind of halfway dog fooding it. The only part we wouldn't be dog fooding is the actual fact that it's in a Docker image.
Okay. What sort of time frame were we hoping to accomplish this by? And also, do we want to, so I feel like there's two ways we could go about this. We could build it manually, and we could build a pipeline that builds it for us. And I feel like those are separate but related topics. So which of those do we want to accomplish? Do we want to do all of those things in one go? And
so we've already got the pieces that will build and push the image. That's already happening. The only thing that's not happening is the addition of these extra binaries.
Okay.
I don't think this is super urgent. I would probably, let's go with 1.2. Well, that's
Well,
in
1.2 is
basically, right?
coming
Let's
up
go with
on us.
1.3.
We could target 1.3.
I think Jesus is working on some related things. So Jesus,
Yeah.
I would assume that this might be something that you're going to look at.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think 1.3 November 23rd is reasonable.
Yeah, I was thinking 1.2, but then looking at that date, I don't want to rush it. 1.3 is a good target.
We want to go ahead and assign this to you.
Okay. Anything else on this one?
Can you assign
4,000.
JM Rodri?
There you go.
Never remember how to spell your name. Because I'm like, I don't know anybody named Rodri. Anything else on this? Unable to init project use operator or SDK 1.0.1.
Yeah, this person seems to have neglected a bunch of information, to put a bunch of information into their issue description. So we're just waiting on them to respond. This looks like an environmental issue.
Okay, do we just want to leave it then and come back to it next week? If in fact, check if there is a bug or.
Why don't we assign this one to Varsha and put it in the backlog? And Varsha, if you could handle following up on this, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay, anything else on this? Molecule tests are failing on master. Oh no. Is Camilla here yet?
I got this one actually, and it's fixed, so we can close it.
Aha, these are the best issues.
The other pull request merged like 5 minutes ago.
Helm operator keeps creating secrets when performing Helm upgrade. It looks like Camilla responded, but I still don't think she's here. So Helm upgrade fails due to image pullback off. It still makes a secret.
I think that's expected behavior. I haven't looked through the details of this, but basically what happens in the Helm operator is we run a candidate upgrade every time we reconcile if there's something already installed. And if the manifest looks different, then we say, okay, now we have to actually do the upgrade, and we do the upgrade. We don't know whether that upgrade is going to work or not, but we couldn't possibly know that. So what happens is whenever you do an upgrade, then you Helm creates a new secret. So it's basically the equivalent of running Helm upgrade. And then what happens is if Helm tells us that it failed to do the upgrade, we will do a rollback. And a rollback is basically just an upgrade that reverts back to the previous one. So it's just another upgrade, which will create another secret. But then, and then it'll try to reconcile like an operator does, and it'll keep failing and keep failing and keep failing, if that's what's happening. So we can see if Camilla already. Okay,
Yeah, it sounds like what she said.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in here. Sorry, folks. I lost the boat today. I forgot. Let me.
We can assign this to me and I'll take a look at it. My guess is that this will just be a support thing, and we can put the, so let's put triage support and language Helm.
I think I answered that you said. But I also, since he's using an old version of the SDK, I also shared that we are no longer supporting the old versions, asked to migrate, and I believe that the same will happen, of course, with the latest one, but would be nice at least to check.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but I agree. That's fine to ask him to see if it's fixed.
One other thing to possibly consider is I think I'd prefer to err on the side of like not trying to clean up after ourselves if something goes wrong. Like, I agree that the order of operations with creating the service account appears to be correct, and I certainly wouldn't want it to like try and be smart enough to figure out why the upgrade failed and then go back and delete the new service account stuff, because that sounds horrifying.
I think, I don't know whether, yeah, I need to look at this more. I think what we're doing is if it fails, we try to put it back into the last known good state. If you think about it, like if you create let's say you've got a Go operator and you submit a CR that is invalid, ideally your operator would just say like, you've got your existing operands running, you changed to something that's invalid. So we're gonna update your status to say, yeah, whatever you asked us to do is not possible, but you basically like your current operand is not totally borked now either, which is basically what the Helm operator does. So it'll try to do the upgrade. If it fails, it'll roll it back so that everything's still good. And then it updates the status to say like, the thing you just tried to do failed. Here's the error message that we got. And then we just try to keep reconciling that just like an operator always does. So it'll try to keep upgrading with the back off, and it'll keep failing until it's fixed.
Cool. Anything else on this? How to properly do list write after update create. This doesn't really sound like a problem with us. This seems more like a how do
Yeah.
I reconcile loops.
Sorry, this is me. I responded earlier. They were just wondering how they actually deal with an updated set of pods and listing after they run the update. So I basically just gave them some info on how controller is supposed to work and some documentation for their specific question. So we could just backlog this. I'll wait until they follow up.
Want me to assign you?
Sure.
We're supposed to do that now if we backlog things. Okay, anything else on this? Scaffold operators should depend on community Kubernetes collection as McAdoo.
Yeah, that's me. So this is the Ansible operators. Basically, an Ansible operator is a shim between the operator SDK and this collection. And currently we're pinning to an older version, but they're on, I think, at least a Y release past 1.0. So we should be using that. And I was just speaking with Fabian about this. It would be nice if we could get this into the next release, but I guess that's like this week. So if we could just put it in 1.2, I think that'll be fine.
I'll just ask this just to make sure, but right now we're pinning to a non-major version, it looks like, and we're talking about bumping to from a 0 dot release to a 1 dot release. Are there any breaking changes?
There's not supposed to be any breaking changes, but there was something that went wrong in the CI earlier, but I think that's actually related to another community collection, our community collection, the Operator SDK Util, which was actually the one having the problem. So I don't think that there will be a backwards incompatible change, but this is also just going to be primarily in newly scaffold operators, so it should not be backwards incompatible for us.
True. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not 100% certain what you mean by collection.
It's like a RPM for Ansible.
So this is the Ansible base image that we build is importing an old version.
This is not actually a base image. This is the scaffolded Ansible operators. Like in the Ansible role, the way that Ansible communicates with Kubernetes is this, like you can think of it as an Ansible plugin.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jonathan, the idea is the Ansible operator base image effectively has the minimal set of things that are necessary for the Ansible operator itself to run, which is basically like Ansible and Ansible runner and maybe some other bits that are needed just to have the communication path between the Go based operator and the Ansible running components. And then everything else is something that happens on the Ansible operator developers project side. So in this case, this is like the one big huge feature that generally every single Ansible operator would always use. And so they will include the community.operator or the community.kubernetes collection in their operator when they build it on top of the Ansible operator base image.
Okay, so are we fine with 1.2?
Seems good to me.
Anything else on this? Because we're coming up on a release and we do have some extra time, I wanted to take a hot second and talk about the stuff in the 1.1 milestone. If that's cool. specifically everyone's favorite issues, 3692 and 3975. So I believe we were trying to shoot for cutting this Wednesday, but it doesn't look like either of these have happened yet. So I wanted to check in with the people on these. Joe, Austin, sounded like Rob said he wasn't working on it.
Yeah, I missed that comment until this morning, so I haven't made any progress on it. But if we have something that we know can just be added there, I'll either take it or I'll ask our web guy to do it.
Okay.
So does anybody have like a banner or something that we can use instead?
You probably copy the Cube Builder one.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Plus one.
Which is the same one that Kubernetes uses. Here, I'll paste it in our chat.
Yeah, I would say that's fine. So Austin, you think either you or whoever we delegate to for web stuff can figure this out by Wednesday?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, anything else on this? And then I think I'm the one who currently owns this issue. This is dependent on a bump to Kube Builder. However, we're still waiting for this pull request to be merged. This pull request is I think Camilla's, and it sounds like you've been going back and forth.
Yes, okay. This has one solution that was approved before for Vince and was in the make file. But after the last meeting that we had in the Kube Builder and controller tools last week, Solly made some suggestions. So these suggestions are addressed, but I don't think it'll be measured until the next release.
So do we want to remove the release blocker or delay the release?
Or the third option is to implement what's in our PR, which is basically a post scaffold process to fix it up on our side.
Yeah,
Which is probably what I would advocate for.
I think that's the right thing to do right now. And then once this gets into Cube Builder, after we can revert our changes in the SDK and just use this.
Just
Right.
to clarify, the solution Kube Builder, also if you check the files, the changes, you see that now it has a Kube Builder tooling. So the idea would be go get, and then the install will be made for this model. However, also would be require some changes in the scaffolds to make this work. So I doesn't know if will be the right approach, if it will come back. So shows that it will have some discussions so far.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't see this. I think we can still do this without. Well, we can still use what you had in the SDK to change the makefile such that mtest will work. I think with a fairly simple modification, and then we can revisit this upstream set of changes.
Shows great. So that's a pull request that I have in SDK. Can I remove the work in progress and we get that merged?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it today.
Wait, you have an open pull request that does this stuff on our end already?
No, does the solution that was agreed to before in the making file. The same thing that is done in the documents, but in the making file directly. Because
So
in the quick start
here
we
is-
have, yeah, go.
Sorry, the background, so Camilla made the PR that basically just does some search replace in the make file. And the reason it does it is because the upstream Kube Builder provided make file is broken And so the only way to get our change in is to either make that change upstream or to do some search replace on our side. So the original PR that Camilla has that we're talking about makes the change just on our side because we didn't necessarily expect upstream Cube Builder to go back and change their old scaffolding plugin. But then Eric and Camilla and I were talking about this, and we said, well, let's see if we can get this change backported into the V2 plugin that we're using, and then we won't need to make this change at all on our side. So then that's where we had that conversation last week, and now we're back downstream saying we have to get this in before Cube Builder will be ready.
Do you know the name or number of that original PR?
If you go has a link for that. No, go at the end.
There it was.
Yes. If you go in the list, put author Camila, you'll find easily as well.
Is it closed or open?
It's open. Working proxy, change the making file, test target for no longer be required manual steps.
Cool. I'm gonna leave a comment here and say we're going this one.
So Eric and Camilla, do you think that there's a decent chance that one will get merged before Wednesday?
Yeah.
I think so.
I'll take a look at this.
We need to
Today.
prioritize it to get it merged before Wednesday. Let's put it that way.
You can remove the working proxy. This is done. I put the working proxy just because the discussion to push it to upstream and all this stuff for nobody waste time trying to review.
Okay. So that's the only two release blocker things. We still have some time. Do we want to go over anything else? How are people feeling about this milestone in general? Are we
Should
gonna bring it on Wednesday?
3626 be closed?
I'm sorry?
It was open because I think the ETE test wasn't done, but the command is in there, and we've done manual testing of it and
So
unit
yeah,
testing.
let's close it.
So I'll go ahead and close it.
All right, so assuming the two release blockers are merged, I'm gonna cut this release on Wednesday and I'll go ahead and move all of the open ones to 1.2.
Yeah, it sounds good. to
Any
me.
others that any of us are assigned on this list that we want to say are release blockers?
I think 3540 is not a release blocker, but I would like to merge it anyway, if we can. I haven't personally reviewed the pull request yet, so that will need to be done, but ideally that one will make it in. There's actually another pull request as well that might obsolete this one. So it's not something that I don't think we're going to be able to get into it in this meeting, but ideally that one will be taken care of.
Are you saying that that one will be merged and this one will be closed?
I hope so.
Oh, okay.
So do I. Thank you.
Could you link it in this issue?
It's linked.
The second one?
No,
If it isn't,
I
I'll
can link.
take care of that paperwork when I
I can link.
take a look.
Okay. Anything else for 1.1? Okay, that's it for today then. So we're cutting the release on Wednesday. That means we have the next, what do you call it? Backlog grooming meeting next Wednesday?
I believe that's what the calendar says, yeah.
Okay, see everybody next week.
Sounds good. See you.